Hello, everyone, and welcome to FilmBook. My name is Doug Hess, and I am the host of The Complete Works. But today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Judy, starring Renee Zellweger. And before we get started in reviewing that movie, I just like to welcome everybody again to FilmBook. And if you'd like to find out some more information about us, you can go out to film-book.com. Again, that's film-book.com. You can do a search. You can search this particular movie or episode, Judy, or feel free follow me when I host The Complete Works. But today we're going to be looking at Judy. And I had a chance to review the Blu-ray DVD/digital of the movie Judy. And overall, I really found the film to be enjoyable. I would also say it was a little sad, dark, and at times slow, but I'll get into that in just a few minutes in terms of that. So, what is Judy? Judy is the biopic that follows the legendary Judy Garland through the last few months of her life, that's interwoven with some backflashes or flashbacks to her youth when she was at MGM Studios. So, a lot of people think or know Judy Garland from her fame of The Wizard of Oz, and the song that she sang that made famous was Over the Rainbow. And if you're looking for the early history of her career, you're not going to find it in this movie. Now, I'm not going to say that there's not references or flashbacks to that particular time in her life. That's exactly what you'll find in this movie. But if you're looking at a biopic that's going to show the making of The Wizard of Oz or something, you're totally missed it. Really, this film is looking at basically the last 30 years past when she made The Wizard of Oz and her fame. And it's really looking at the last several months prior to her death, when she passes away at the age of 47. So, just kind of a little quick overview of that particular movie, or the movie Judy, in terms of that. So, expectations are set in terms of that. So, in the telling opening moments of the movie, we find that Judy is staring at a wall while the studio head, Louis B. Mayer, who was the head of Mayer Studios, really asks her, "What do you want to see beyond the wall?" And what happens is he's describing a world that is outside, full of a lot of different women, different girls that are able to do, but do they really have what she has? Do they have the looks that she has? The answer becomes yes. They have some of the talent of acting? Yes. But the thing that Mayer really says to her, really at the beginning, is the voice. That's what separates her from the rest of everybody else that's in Hollywood at that time. And I would agree that that's really what we remember Judy Garland for, is really two things: is the movie The Wizard of Oz, and then also her version of Over the Rainbow. In terms of that, now, did she go on and star in other movies? The Andy Hardy series, she was in several episodes of that with. Um, Drawing a complete blank on his name. I'll think of it here in a second. But she was also in a couple other movies as well. A Star is Born. Some of you might actually remember that. Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga had a remake of that. Matter of fact, I think their version was the second or third remake of the particular movie. But that started Judy Garland as well years ago in terms of that. However, but I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole. I want to get back to this. So Judy, on the other hand, is destined to be set apart and is tasked with the job of giving everything she can in order for ordinary people to have dreams. And that's really what the selling point was at the beginning of the movie, is making sure that Judy understood that she was separated and different from others. And basically, Mayer says, "Are you sure you want to be on this side, or do you want to be on the other side of the wall where everybody else is ordinary, or do you want to be on this side?" Well, what's interesting about that, or something that really is set in motion in this movie, is that it really explores what the cost is, literally and figuratively, of being walled off from the rest of the world. is really what that question really becomes. And what we find out is we have that flashback to a young Judy Garland, and that is when she is being starved, she's being manipulated, and at times being drugged. And then that's what we see that, Judy is popping a pill at one point when she was having dinner with a date that was set up by the studio, and her chaperone was there. And basically she is told by by not by Mayor, but Mayor is telling the chaperone that Judy is not to eat, and she's just to basically be there for publicity stunt. And Judy basically has enough of it and steals the sandwich out of the young man's hand. She's being treated like basically a caged and trained animal in the process that's only trotted out to shine in front of the world. But what really happens is the question moving forward 30 years later, when we fast forward to that quote unquote present day that Judy is in, is what happens when the shine begins to fade? What happens when the system that made you is now broke? And they really don't want anything to do with you because a little bit of your beauty is gone. Yes, Judy still had the voice, she still had the acting talent, but her shine was gone. The days of the Wizard of Oz was over, and she's broke, not only mentally and physically. I really got that out of the movie, but also financially as well. She basically, at the beginning of the movie, she's with her twins, and they're basically kicked out of the hotel that they were staying in because they couldn't pay the bills. Judy didn't have enough money in order to do that. So really, we go back to that theme of the walls. What happens outside beyond the walls? So then we find in the end, Judy is trying to survive. She's also trying to be a good mother at the same place in a world where she is really ill-equipped to navigate because, as we mentioned earlier, with the film, is the studio did everything for her. She was being controlled, she was being handled, and now they basically took everything they could out of her or from her, and now there's nothing for the studio to do, and they're letting her on her own. And when she kind of goes for help, people turn their back on her because they've already gotten out of her everything that they needed in terms of that. So Judy tells someone early in the film that having children is like living with your heart on the outside of your body, and watching this film is a little like that too. I found that the movie was raw. It was painful at times, but also it was tender and real. And I thought Renee Zellweger does a wonderful job of really portraying Judy Garland. At times, I thought just the way the camera looked and the way that they had the camera, that she actually was Judy Garland. Her look, her walk, her voice, everything just seemed to be a little bit magical in terms of that. And I really think that Renee Zellweger gave a great performance. I mean, we knew that she could sing because she was in Chicago, the movie Chicago. She was also nominated, I think, this is her, she was 3 other times for her singing and acting. So she had the talent, or has the talent, to carry it off. And I thought that was exactly what happened in this film, that she was able to pull it off and does a wonderful job in terms of that. But yeah, I thought the movie was raw, at times painful, and then also tender but real. And I think that Renee really hit the nail on the head and brought all that out that I'm not so sure that other actresses could have done that. And I really think Renee did a wonderful job capturing all of this, the mess, the brokenness, while also never letting us forget what the heart and the hope of Judy was. And there were scenes within the movie where, yeah, Renee really came across where she was shaking, and that was some of the alcohol. I think it was also some of the drugs coming that high and low. And, Zellweger really nailed it in that performance and made that pain, that mess, that brokenness, like I said, come alive and really feel special, that something special in that movie in terms of that. but as also at the same time showing that there was heart and hope in Judy in terms of that as well. Um, I also thought her performance was like watching a fragile bird that was wounded in the process, because at times that you were kind of holding your breath because you're not sure if Judy was going to crumble, if she was able to go on stage and perform, or if she was going to go out there and actually fly and hit it out of the park. And I think the performance that Renee Zellweger performance of Judy Garland was, she was able to nail both. And there was times where you were holding your breath going, is she going to make it? Is she going to be able to perform? Is the drugs, is the alcohol really bringing her down? And there was one particular scene where the first time when she went over to London to perform, and that's really what we're looking at, is basically about a 6 weeks window of Judy Garland performing over in London to be able to have enough money so she can get her kids back. And the question really becomes, is she going to be able to do it? Is she too tired? Is she too fragile? Is she too out of it, if you will, to be able to perform? And then she walks out on stage and you wonder if she's going to be able to do it. And then she goes right into her performance and is able to hit a home run. So Zellweger does a wonderful job of combining the two and making us a little nervous. Is she going to be able to do it? And then almost like the flip of a switch, able to actually do that, hit it out of the park. And I thought that was awesome in terms of that. Some of the best moments of the film are the small ones that reveal so much tenderness in the face of pain. And I thought Renee Zellweger really does a wonderful job of doing that, is showing us tenderness, even though she's, obviously in pain. She's being tortured both mentally and I think physically as well in the process. Judy's comforting, confront a devoted fan as she breaks down over the past of her pain and the pain as you see her. So basically, there's two fans that she basically confides in, and basically is telling, here's the pain, here's the ugliness of being famous, and you really see that tenderness showing that. We also see that the movie is a fragile but yet beautiful Judy Garland herself. There's moments, like I said, she was very fragile. You wondered if she could go on, if she could actually perform, not only as a parent but also on the stage. But there is a beautiful side of Judy Garland as well that we see revealed in this movie in terms of that. Obviously, the singing is also wonderful. I thought Renee Zellweger did a wonderful job of singing. And it's my understanding that she did all the singing herself, that there was no dubbing or Judy Garland's actual voice in that. Everything was Renee's in terms of that. And I thought it was she just did a wonderful job. So we find that the movie ends with her receiving applause and admiration from her audience, while she asks, "You won't forget me. Promise me that you won't." And I thought that was a nice, touching way to kind of end the film. Till the very end, she got what she wanted and was trained to for the most, and that was actually the glamour in terms of that. I just really thought that she did a wonderful job of being able to pull it off in terms of that. Judy was directed by Rupert Gold and was written by Tom Edge. It was based on the Oliver and Tony nominated play Into the Rainbow by Peter Gilter. The film runs approximately 118 minutes and is rated PG for its substance abuse, some of its content, and some of its strong language. When you look at the Blu-ray / DVD digital version, there's a couple other things that you'll find in there. One is gallery of photos of Judy Garland. And then there's a documentary that's never seen before, features From the Heart, the making of Judy. And it's a documentary that you can watch as well in terms of that. But overall, I thought that Judy was a good movie. At times it's slow. And again, I want to just stress that it's looking at just a very specific time in Judy Garland's life. And that is really the last few months before she passes. And if you're looking at something that's going to show the making of the Wizard of Oz or anything like that, I'm going to caution you right now, this is not the movie for you. Again, as I talked about at the beginning of this audio, is that's where Judy Garland is most known for, is with the Wizard of Oz and the singing of the song Over the Rainbow. So I just want to caution you, that's not what this film is about. But I do think it does a wonderful job of really showing the beauty of Judy Garland, who she was, even though she was going through a mess in her life. She was financially broke. She was drinking. She had drugs. And I think that this film does a wonderful job showing that it all started back when she was a young girl or a young woman. And it all was at the hands of the studio, Louis B. Mayer, and his drive, I would say, uh, to really control and wall off Judy Garland. And what's really sad about the whole process is when the studio got done with her, they were ready to wipe their hands and just discard her. And she wasn't really emotionally or physically prepared to be able to handle the outside world. And to me, that is one of the things that I think was really a tragedy for Judy Garland in terms of that. But like I said, it's 118 minutes in length. It's adapted by a play, a Tony nominated play, Into the Rainbow. And I would highly recommend this, especially if you're into biopics or biographies. But if you also like Judy Garland, I think this is going to be a wonderful film for you to watch and enjoy. And obviously, my opinion is Renee Zellweger hit it out of the park on this and did a wonderful job of her portrayal of Judy Garland.